I'll be online in about 2 minutes. So if you want to make sure you've got your Cornell notes. How are you, Stephen? I hope you're doing well. Looks like you're the only one that showed up so far. We're going to wait 1 more minute just in case, because Caden's usually here for sure. And then we'll get going. You want to have your Cornell notes. Hopefully you've got those. I'm going to just change to the next page. Oh.
1, 2, 3, testing.
Oh, I hope that's the last of the testing. That's an interesting thing. All right. So we're going to make an expression today, and then we're going to look at a chart and get the expression from the chart. So we have sort of, oh, Stephen's gone. Oh, and he's back. All right. Stephen, you were there, and then you were gone. I was all confused. I'm going to put my hand down. Did you get kicked off? Oh, I hope it doesn't do that all day today. I'm going to get started. And if other people come on, they'll have to just listen to the recording. So I gave you the tools today. You can help me out. All right, so first of all, we're going to make an expression. And we're going to do that over a couple of slides. So there's a paintball place in Surrey where you can have a party for your birthday. So to book a party costs $50, and each person that plays costs $15. So we're going to figure out some of the math. Say I want to go, I book my party and all my friends move away. There's a terrible plague. And my parents make them move. So I go anyway and shoot at targets. What is the party going to cost me altogether? All right. So what is that party going to cost me? Well, good. 15 plus 50. That's right. So what our expression is, and I'm going to get my handy dandy pen and then look like I don't know how to write. Okay, here we go, and there's the pen. All right. So my expression should be 15n, right? 15 times the number of players plus 50 will give me the cost. So he got that right away. And you'll see, sometimes people will do this, n times 15, or 15n. And the last one that they'll do is 15 times n, right? And they can do that in a couple of ways. They can do it this way too, 15 times n, so that we don't get n and x mixed, or x and times mixed up. They can also put a dot. So different ways to write it. So 15n plus 50 equals the cost. So that's the cost for me. If it's 15 times 1 plus 50 equals, well, 15 times 1 is 15 plus 50. It's going to cost me $65. It's an awful lot for one person. I'm going to shoot at targets too, so that's kind of boring. All right, so let's figure out something else here. So it's just me at the party. It's $50 plus $15 per person. Say I get some new friends, and they decide to come at the last minute, and mom's let them come. How much is the party going to cost? So we're going to make a table, and you should follow and make your own table just on your Cornell notes so that we can make sure that you are doing things the right way. Here we go. All right, so I put it up here. That's what we're dealing with, $50 plus $15 per person. So if I have 0 friends, we know that my cost was $65. All right. And you know that my mouse is going to stop working. Why does it do that? It drives me crazy. So what is the cost of 1? If I have 1 friend, so that's going to mean that there's 2 of us, right? Oh, see, $15 per person. So we better not put this as friends. We better put this as people. Because if it's me and a friend, then that doesn't work. All right? So if it's 1 person, so if it's 0 people, well, if nobody goes, then it doesn't cost a thing. So we better clear this and start again. Okay. So we change friends to people. So if we have 0 people, it costs $0. 1 person, 65. Now they're testing the PA system, I think. 2 people. Then we have to use our expression. So it's 15n equals the cost. So in this case, it's 15 times 2, which would be 30. So Stephen's right. It's $80. All right. And how about 3 people? 3 people, 15 times 3 is 45. That's 50. It is, This is fair. Do you know? Yes, I do. It's $95. All right. So, Stephen's writing it in. Oh, look at that. He's found his pen. Excellent. So Stephen, do 4 then. I'll take out my 95. Will you do that? Stephen's finding out how terribly hard it is to use these tools. So 4, we do 15 times 4. And by now you might even need your calculator to figure that out. But 15 times 4 is 60 plus 50. So here he goes, 110. That's excellent. So that is how we do a table of values. We are going to start, not next class, but the class after, we are going to actually learn about graphing these relationships. So we want to make sure that we can make a table of values from an expression. That's a really important skill. So I want you to be able to do that. Later on, that's going to be part of your homework. Let's go to the next page. All right. So figuring out what is the variable. So I'm going to put that expression back up because we did that. 15n plus 50. Let me get my pen back. Okay. 15n. Oh, come on, fair. I'm terrible with this printing. Okay, let's try again. 15n plus 50. So that was what we decided was our expression, and that equals the cost. All right. So let's talk for a minute. What is the variable in this one? What is the variable? So we're going to let Stephen think about that. It's what the n stands for. What is varying? Where n is, and here he comes. I don't know if he's going to write or if he's going to type, but we'll see. Something's going on there. N is, Stephen's not sure. N is the number of people. What is C? I'm abbreviating people because I'm running out of space. C is the cost. C equals the cost. And both those things vary. What they mean by variable is that the numbers change. All right? So the n is a variable. That is the number of people, and the cost varies depending on the number of people. What stays the same? What stays the same? Okay. The 15, that's right. The 15 is the numerical coefficient. We talked about this last week. The numerical coefficient is what we multiply the variable by. So it's 15 in this place, and the constant, another constant is this $50. All right? So those two things do not change. And how we always put these things into an expression is the numerical coefficient tends to go before the variable. So instead of n times 15, it usually is 15n. That doesn't mean it has to be that way, but that's kind of a math standard that we use. All right. Now, let's take a look at this table of values. Oh, I cut off my own PowerPoint. Okay, it says this is table of values. Can we figure out the table of values here? So if we have 0 number of birdhouses, if we're building birdhouses, we are going to need 0 board meters of 1 by 6 cedar. And I actually did this when I was doing birdhouses at Lockheed. All right, so if I'm building 1 birdhouse, I need how many board meters of cedar? Well, if we look at the chart, it says 5, right? 2 is 10, 3 is 15, and 4 is 20. So, Stephen's got it already. What we have here is n times 5 equals where the n is the number of birdhouses. So let's make sure that we know what our variables are. N is the number of birdhouses. And what should we call the board feet of cedar, Stephen? What's our other variable? W, all right? So that's the amount of wood. So W equals wood in feet. Board meters, I guess. It's actually called board feet, but. All right, so what we are calling then is that, what are we multiplying our N by, our number of birdhouses, by, to get the board meters of cedar? So number of birdhouses times 5 equals W. Or we can make this another way. We could say 5N equals W. So that's how we take an expression from a table of figures. We figure out what's going on, and we've been doing a little bit of this in class, so that's good. Okay. Let's see how much our number of board meters increases. So as we go from 0 to 5, it goes up by 5, then we go up by 5, then we go up by 5, then we go up by 5. So now that I've got this formula, I can figure out, and Stephen's already got it in the answers, that's hilarious. I can figure out how many board feet I need for any number of birdhouses. So if I have 17 birdhouses, so I'm going to do 5 times 17. And because Stephen was good and he already got it calculated for me, I don't have to do it. I need, for 17 birdhouses, I need 85 board meters of cedar. Now that's a good way to calculate that, because when we used to do things at Rock Hill, you never knew how many kids were signing up for the classes. So we would figure out how much for one, and then we would just purchase enough to do all the ones we needed. So that's actually a useful way that we use algebra. All right. Let's do some useful math. So here's another one. When my friend from Portland comes to visit in November, she needs to bring clothes that will be appropriate for the weather. I look at the same dates last year and find out the temperature. It's in Celsius, but she's used to Fahrenheit. So to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit, you have to multiply by 2 and add 30. So we're going to be estimating the temperature so she can know whether she needs to bring cold weather clothes or nice weather clothes. So let's take a look at what our chart looks like. Our chart has Celsius on the top and Fahrenheit in the bottom. So if Celsius is 10, we have to multiply by 2 and add 30. So let's think of a way that we could, I'm just going to put our text box up here. So let's think of that. Celsius times what? So I've already got Stephen answering the question. He used N for his. I'm going to use Celsius for mine, so I'm going to use C. So I'm going to say 2, well, I want that to be a little bit bigger. Let's make it 24 point. 2 times C plus 30 equals Fahrenheit. All right. So I always try to make my variables kind of match. I'm sure that's why I had N, was normal temperature maybe. But we always try and make it so that we'll remember what it is. And Zach's just joined us. But Zach, you can put your hand down and just follow along. That's awesome. So we figured out 2C plus 30 equals F, where C is Celsius. And remember, we're doing that. We're always defining what our variables are. And F is Fahrenheit. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. Well, maybe I can make it bigger. I don't know. Some days, you know, not easy. All right. So there's our 2C plus 30 equals F, where C is Celsius and F is Fahrenheit. We can't quite see Fahrenheit unless you use the slider bar. All right. So let's figure out what the first thing is. So our Celsius is 10. So 2C plus 30 equals F. We have to figure out our calculator. So 2 times 10 is 20, plus 30. Our Fahrenheit in that case is going to be what? And Zach's wondering what he missed. He missed my dulcet tones, it said. Lots, he says. Yes, it is lots. What do we have for an answer? So let's just show you a little text box, and we'll do that one. Up over here. So how we do the math for that one, it's 10 degrees, and we're using our formula. So it's 2 times 10 plus 30 equals the Fahrenheit. And what we're going to get there is 20 plus 30. 2 times 10 is 20, plus 30 equals 50. So 10 degrees Celsius is 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's what she'll need to know. So let's figure out the rest of the chart. Okay, so 15, 2 times 15 is 30, plus 30 is 60. So if you want to, Stephen, you can start drawing those answers in the Fahrenheit box. And we'll keep going up all the way. So we're noticing a trend with our Celsius and Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit's going up by 10 every 5 degrees. All right. So I'm just letting everybody realize just how yucky it is to use these tools. Stephen, you don't write any better than me. That's excellent. So what is our variable in this time at this time? What is our variable? You can do this too, Zach. It's very hard to do. You just use the pencil. Stephen, you're actually better than me. I might have to get you to do this for me all the time now. The next step is going to be, when we do 9.4, the next step is going to be, how do we graph these things so that we can make a graph that shows the relationship between Celsius and Fahrenheit. So those are called linear graphs. So that's why we have to be really good at creating these tables by then. All right? And this should be a little bit easier than what we were doing before. Any questions about that? So our variable is, any thoughts, Zach? What's varying here? Our variable is the temperature in Celsius. All right? That is our variable. And what we're going to get in the end is Fahrenheit, which is another measure of temperature. Okay? Good. Any questions about that? Are you confused? Well, when you came in, what we're doing is we're creating charts. I'm just going to zip that quickly for the people that are listening on the video. Let's have to wait. So we're actually doing what we've been doing in class. We're taking a table and we're making costs. So this one was the cost of doing paintball. If I was at my party and I didn't even go, or if I went and it was just me, or if I had a friend show up, it would be 80. So this was the cost of paintball, when it's $50 plus $15 a person. All right? So then we were just looking at what are the variables and expressions. That's the things that changed, and what are the constants. Yeah. We had stuff like this today, and it is kind of easy. So when we looked at this one, this was board feet to build birdhouses. So we noticed that it took us 5 board feet times the number of birdhouses to get the total amount of wood that we needed to buy. And the last one was this one, so it's just converting Celsius and Fahrenheit. So hopefully that's all right for you. Now let's take a look at the last one, because this is going to be homework. It's 418, so we're, oh, just a minute, what happened to my last page? No. It didn't bring up my last page, so I'll have to give you the homework on a clear page. All right, new page up. This will be a first. A blank page. All right, so I'm just going to go off for 1 second to my PowerPoint so I can get it and copy it for you. Hang on, I'll be right back. I think I accidentally erased the last page. All right. Well, I guess your Cornell notes today are going to show me that you were at class by showing me the calculations for this last one. All right? So, I would like you to extend this chart to 50 degrees Celsius. All right? So extend this chart to 50 degrees Celsius and make sure in your Cornell notes that you show me the formula that you used to get the Celsius or the Fahrenheit from the Celsius. Somehow I erased the last page on the PowerPoint. I had this really funky homework assignment, but I'll give it to you next week. So if you guys have finished copying this down, extend the chart to 50. I don't know what happened to that. That's never happened to me before. It wasn't on the video. I went back to the PowerPoint. It wasn't on there either. So, all right, I'm going to just put the homework here. Homework. I'll make it bigger after. Extend the chart to 50. All right. Any questions, you guys? Otherwise, you're free to sign out whenever you've got that.